Mini episode 737 of the FDH Lounge is brought to you by Sportsology, delivering unconventional columns and webcasts about sports, TV, music, movies, and more. Follow them on the web at sportsology.com.
The FDH Lounge. You want to schedule your life around it.
A long time ago, on a gloomy, wet Cleveland spring night, two men stand alone amidst the late-night drizzle. Their voices echo across the vacant station parking lot as they debate the merits of the great American radio show that have been missing for far too long. On that night, an idea was born. That idea became the FDH Lounge. Welcome to the FDH Lounge.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to the FDH Lounge WWE Mock Draft for 2016. Rick Morris and Jake Digman, your FDH Lounge dignitaries. Jake is the brainchild of this particular exercise here. I want to thank him for coming up with the idea and for hosting this taping. And this is going to be an awful lot of fun to go through and see how we would arrange the Raw and SmackDown rosters going forward, my friend.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to a good time. I'm just afraid that it's going to, early on, we're going to get to, oh, I wanted that guy, and everything's going to be completely changed around. Because I had a whole roster in my head, but as soon as I realized, I'm like, this is not going to work. This is going to be, it's going to be cutthroat war.
You're like me. You're like me in this regard, because I was talking to another one of our dignitaries, Ben Chu, off air, and I was telling him, I said, I've actually got butterflies for this, because like I want to have a good creative vision here. I want Jake to have a good one, too, because both of these are representing FDH. I'm sure we're both going to come out of it with really good rosters. And I want to submit this for judging to our good friend, fellow dignitary Kyle Ross. And I just want to run this scenario past you on what you would have thought back at the time here. If you think back 10 years, you and I, sort of the fifth Beatles for the iconic pro wrestling talk show Sunday Night Submission. 10 years later, you and I are doing a mock WWE draft. One of the two principals on the show, Kyle Ross, is judging the draft, and the other one, Ryan Ward, gets a real SmackDown roster as head writer a couple of days from now. Is this not unbelievable?
It is absolutely insane, but a lot of fun. Again, as I said on our last show, brushes with greatness.
That's how it's going. And by the way, just to pull back the curtain even a little bit further, when this goes up on the air, hopefully a day after the taping here. But as far as taping this, I wanted to look back to see, again, 10 years ago, Sunday Night Submission was on the air. 10 years ago tonight, as we're taping this, the lads were doing a pre-show and post-show for Victory Road. Your thoughts, Jake Digman?
I was at that show.
Were you?
Yeah, I believe I was.
Victory Road 06?
Victory Road 06, yeah. I was hanging out with them. Was that the one where Christian Cage won the title?
You're asking the wrong guy.
Yeah,
fella.
I have no idea. I don't remember. I know there's a good chance if there was a TNA pay-per-view back then in 06, I was probably hanging out watching it just because those were really good back in the day.
There was a window of time. There was, yeah, when they were pretty good. But this is unbelievable. 10 years later, you and I, the fifth Beatles, are getting together to do our own thing here in the lounge, come up with this draft. We came up with some parameters on how to go about this. And in looking at this, we're going to do basically two parts here, 20 and 20. We're each going to make 20 picks in rotating fashion here going through, and then finish with a lightning round of 20 and 15. I've got Raw, you've got SmackDown. I voluntarily ceded SmackDown to you. It's only fair you came up with the idea, so you get to draft for our buddy Rhino in this scenario. Do a good job for him. I know you will. But so that's why I'm going to get the extra 5 picks. They'll all be at the end. I don't want any kind of advantage. But Raw's got, it's 3 hours to fill. You were the one that pointed it out to me in the first place. A 3-hour show. Each of them, I guess, is going to have their own hour of syndication now with Main Event and with Superstars also, so we're going to have to take that into consideration. And as you said, we should also start with the general managers here, since each show now has, what are they calling the leadership position with the McMahons?
The McMahons are the commissioners, and each of them has to hire a general manager.
Okay.
They've changed it in the past 3 weeks. First they were general managers, then it was COOs. Yeah. Then it became commissioner. And then the commissioner is hiring a general manager. So, I mean, they might as well just throw in President Jack Tunney and have every single title, authority title, all as one. Oh, I forgot sheriff. The sheriff.
Sheriff. That whole kind of ill-fated thing there. Well, in looking at it, I won the coin flip that you did off air, so I'm going to get to go first on this. And I said to you off air, I said I wanted a Dario Cueto type character in there. I'm gonna give you some hints. I'm gonna throw out some hints, see if you can see where I'm going with this. In this universe that we're doing it in, this general manager figure would be answerable to Stephanie McMahon. So I can't just go with a face character in here. I don't like the standard heel authority figure. I do like the Dario Cueto kind of a thing. Just a smarmy bad guy who likes to just see the world burn down. So I'm thinking to myself, what kind of guys do we have that have shown some good kind of smarmy charm? Anybody who's on the sidelines underutilized right now? Anybody who has got a wife who's actually still currently on the roster doing something right now? Somebody who's shown this kind of smarmy ability here, who I think could go out there week in and week out in that kind of capacity. Is this stirring up any thoughts with you here?
No clue.
Okay. I'm going with, and this is way off the board, buddy, I'm going with Tyson Kidd as my general manager. I think he could be really good in that role.
That's fantastic.
You like that?
Yeah, why not? Well, that's totally off the board.
Okay. All right, great. All right, I got you to pop for it. I'm very happy.
Mine is going to be interesting because my general manager is going to be so contradictory to what it is. Logic would say I would take Daniel Bryan.
Yeah.
But I'm not.
Okay.
I'm going to do something really bizarre and weird. I am taking as a babyface Triple H.
Ooh, okay.
Just to stick it to Stephanie, Shane takes her husband.
Okay.
And it makes sense considering who my writer is.
Well, yes. Yes, it does. And as a matter of fact, that's a masterstroke on your part, buddy, because we never said that these guys can't wrestle. You can't go out there in a certain thing. You just used an actual draft pick, so well done.
Thank you. Well, I guess I did take a part-timer, yeah.
You did.
Didn't even think about that.
You did. One of the part-timers goes off the board right away here. So we get to the actual start of this thing here, and you and I were speculating off here about whether we were going to kind of intersect, go the same way or not at the outset here. And we have on these rosters that I drew up here, I had compiled these things, and we're basically going by a common sense standard here, which is not what they did in 2002, by the way, as far as just randomly breaking up every tag team. And then by the end of the year, having 2 sets of tag team titles.
What if I want to break up a tag team,
You
though?
can.
Can
You absolutely
we do that?
can.
Okay.
And you may, and I had asked you off air about this, and I guess we'll tackle it when the time comes. You may end up taking a group of guys, and there's one guy out of them who's not the main guy who I like, who I might want to trade you, but that's not who I'm talking about here at the outset. I am a firm believer, structurally, foundationally, when you build a promotion, you want to have, and again, I'm a kid that grew up on the Four Horsemen, subsequently the late 90s, the NWO, you got to have a franchise heel group. You got to have guys in there who can get it done collectively. I'm taking with the first pick the Bullet Club here. AJ Styles, Carl Anderson.
Dang it.
And Doc Gallows. Is that where you were going?
Yep.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. It makes sense. It makes sense that you and I would both be looking in that direction because it's the foundation that you want. It's everything to build off of from there. The interesting thing is, we'll see how this plays out early on. We have the chance to kind of hurt each other here in terms of, now that I've gone very heavy on the heel side, if you were to go heavy with the next couple of baby picks, you could really make me come to regret that. So we'll have to see where you go from here. But I'm taking Styles, Anderson, Gallows, number 1.
Man, that is that was all along. That was my number 1 pick that I was thinking of, to the point where I don't even know what my backup number 1 pick is.
Great minds think alike, man.
Now that I'm
this was always going to suck for the guy that wasn't one.
Looking at this, I knew it was going to be like, well, that's I guess I have to go with my default, who was my backup at number 1. I'm going with the MVP of the WWE, Mr. Seth Rollins.
Seth Rollins, okay. Interestingly enough here, and again, it's you can keep some cards closer to your chest or whatever, because there is, I guess, draft strategy involved in the early part here. But just out of curiosity, because I'm jotting down heels and baby faces on either side, you looking to keep him where he's at right now, or flip him in fairly short order? Because he could do both.
I'd have to see where the rest of my roster plays out and where he fits in and what he would be doing.
I'll just put him heel for now.
Yeah, he's heel for now, but
Okay.
I mean, because he is technically a heel right now.
I was just curious. Well, here's the thing, too. I'm going to see if you can guess my second pick based on what I said to you off air, because I said the second pick, it's going to seem a little bit weird in a
Finn
vacuum.
Balor.
Yeah, exactly. I now have the Bulletproof Balor Club. That is where I'm going with this, and yeah, that's. Was that, by the way, where you were looking to go?
That was actually going to be, if I had the Bullet Club number 1, that was going to be my number 2 pick.
we both went 1 and 2 the same way.
Yeah, that was going to be my number 2 pick.
Oh, my God. Okay. Oh, that's incredible that we both ended up doing that. All right, yeah, Finn Balor's my number 2 because I'm putting those guys together. I'd like to maybe put a heater with them as well because I like stables sometimes that are even a little bit bigger than 4. It can get unwieldy at a certain point, but, with those guys doing the whole too sweet thing 20 years after the fact, this is my NWO 2K16. I'm going to let them run wild like they did in Japan.
Which was my exact thought process on it, too, when, exactly what I was thinking. With my number 2 pick, Team SmackDown.
Okay.
Paul Heyman's not Paul Heyman SmackDown. Selects the NXT champion, Samoa Joe.
Ooh! That is one heck of a building block right there, man. That is, and again, it's funny because out of the picks that we made, I mean, Seth Rollins may be the only one who is going to go potentially as high as what happened here. This has definitely got more of an IWC flavor to it than what we're going to see Tuesday Night Live on SmackDown. But Samoa Joe, number 2. Curious on that one as well because that's one where obviously that guy can be a franchise babyface going forward. What are you thinking? You bring him in just as like a badass ass kicker, get him to where he's so bad that the fans start to cheer him eventually, or you think he's a good face from the jump?
I think he's a good face. He's going to be a baby face right off the jump.
Right off the jump.
He's going to be my. He's going to be in the role of ass kicker.
Okay.
He's going to be my, what he is.
Yeah.
The Samoan submission machine.
Yeah.
And he's not getting any younger.
No, he's not. He's absolutely not getting any younger. So it's very interesting here because one of the things, and I'm going to encourage, when Kyle Ross does the judging of this, I'm going to encourage him to use sort of a multiplicity of criteria on the roster that he likes better, value, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. One of the things I think you have to take into consideration, this is the real world. Merch is a part of it. And while this is a guy that, again, his whole shtick, his whole character, not up my alley and pretty much hasn't been since about 05 when he started doing the hokey Marine crap. I'm going to go John Cena for my next pick just because, a real face of the company kind of a guy, and even in more of a part-time role going forward, that's the kind of thing where I sort of couldn't afford to let you get him. It's one of those kind of deals.
I understand, and just in the same respect, for my next pick, coming in at number 3, I am going to be drafting what is going to be my lead heel.
Okay.
For the company to be built around.
I love it.
And I'm going with, if you listen to the audience, he is the number 1 heel, Roman Reigns.
I love it. I mean, as soon as you started giving the tease, I knew where you were going, and that's a beautiful thing.
And the whole heel program is perfectly just set up there because if you have Triple H as the babyface, it just makes sense that Roman Reigns would have to go heel.
Right.
To go against him and just play off the fact that, hey, there was 100,000 people booing me out of the building.
That's right.
It's like, you people want to boo me? Fine, I'm going to give you a reason to boo me.
Well, what's very, very interesting is 2 of your top 3 picks, Samoan guys, and I was laughing about this with somebody recently about Samoa Joe. Is he the only Samoan guy in the history of wrestling that's not part of that lineage?
I think so.
He might be.
I think he might be the only one who's not related to them at all. He should just fake it and say that he is.
Oh, they will. They will at some point here. And I'll tell you what, Dan, you talk about things work out in the end. For a guy who, if they'd brought him in 10 years ago, as I go back to that point in time, might have ended up as Umaga versus what he's going to get to do on this go-around.
Yeah.
So much better. But looking at the next one here, my 4th pick, we are going to very, very rapidly complete the process of taking the Shield because
I figured that was next.
Yeah, I'm not a believer in John Cena as a top babyface going forward. I need guys that I think can be, and Dean Ambrose in this present incarnation is showing that he can be. I've always liked them. I like these hybrids, like a little bit of Roddy Piper, a little bit of Pillman, a little bit of Terry Funk. I love it. Dean Ambrose is about as good as it gets, man.
I think with my draft of Roman Reigns, I just solidified where Seth Rollins is at on the babyface side of things.
He's going to have to be.
Yeah, he's got to have to be. I mean, based on and based on his style, he should be. Stylistically, he wrestles like a babyface.
Well, here's the thing, too. He's got to be opposite from Roman Reigns, and you're talking about building the heel side around him. So you have that there. So we have knocked off a lot of the real easy ones here. Every main eventer on this list, I had 4 of them here: Cena, Reigns, Ambrose, Rollins, and they're all gone at this point. So each of us got 2 of them, not coincidentally, probably. So now we got to start to get a little more creative, my friend.
All right. Well, my next pick that I'm going with is a franchise player in of himself, and somebody that, quite frankly, is one of the reasons I tune in every single week to watch, because I'm thoroughly entertained constantly by this guy. I'm going with Kevin Owens.
Kevin Owens. Nice. That's a tremendous pick. That's a guy that I would have liked to have had. That's a guy where if I, and this is like, I can tell you're using my mentality, like, because if I hadn't gotten the Bullet Club, and if I have to start looking like Plan B on the heel side, that's one of the guys you start looking at right there. So Owens is an amazing talent. Looking at this here for the next pick, in terms of merch, in terms of overness, in terms of being the Mac Daddies, no racial pun intended there on the tag team side, but they've been the dominant force the last year. I got to go New Day for my 5th pick.
New Day rocks.
New Day rocks, because they're somebody that, again, as long as you have them on the card, that's something right there. That takes up a good spot, and eventually, and I do agree with Vince and some of the other ones in there, I think Big E's still got a nice big main event run in front of him here. Probably not too soon with some of the other guys ahead of him on the depth chart, but I want to get back to this whole New Day and Bullet Club angle and see where that takes us. So that's going to be my 5th pick.
That's a good 5th pick. I was thinking about that one. My 5th pick actually is one I'm taking based on a conversation with you. I'm taking the boss, Sasha Banks.
Oh! Doggone you. Doggone you. Oh. I me and my big mouth, like, I warned you. I was like, you better do that early. Oh my God. She is one of the biggest potential licenses to print money on the whole roster. Never thought I'd be saying this about a woman. Never, ever, ever thought that. And Bayley as well. And I see it with Bayley. I see the whole she can be the Cena thing with the marketing and whatever. Sasha Banks, I mean, there's only one Rock, but she's Rock-like. I mean, that's who she reminds me of in every freaking way, right down to being it's the, if you will, exotic biracial person where the other sex is going, yummy. I mean, she's so Rock-like in so many ways, I can't even tell you.
Yeah, oh, absolutely. She and I mean, just listening to her like out of character,
yeah.
And then you see her in character. She's got the character down perfectly. But like when they go full on babyface with her, her story is it's absolutely incredible. When I listened to her on Jericho's podcast, and I was like, why didn't girls like this exist when I went to high school?
No doubt, yeah. Somebody like that's a big wrestling nerd. That, like her favorite.
Who was a fan of Work Rate?
Yes.
Like what?
Yes, I mean, you talk about unicorns, a beautiful girl whose favorite wrestlers were the Vanilla Midgets.
Exactly.
I mean, what is going on here? Welcome to 2016. It's a weird time to be alive, but oh my God, this is the first real you got me moment of the night, because, you know, I can recover. I can still build a really good women's division with the rest of the talent, but that hurts. That hurts right there. For my next pick, I'm gonna lick the wounds here. I'm going a little bit face heavy at this point, but you know, a guy that I think, and Kyle Ross likes to call me a smart mark for saying this, but a guy who I think has top guy written all over him is Cesaro. I just don't get why he hasn't gotten more of an opportunity, and I do think in the real world of the brand split, I think he's going to be one of the guys most poised to benefit from this. Of course, people say Kevin Owens, but that seems very obvious to say that because, you know, with 2 brands now, he's going to be like even more of a top dog. Cesaro, a little bit more of a dark horse because of how he's been positioned, but a guy who, if he's holding one of the 2 world titles 6 months, a year from now, I don't think anybody'd be shocked. And if I were the booker, I'd give him every chance to. He's my 6th pick.
And it's a great 6th pick.
Thank you.
It's somebody that I would have was actually on my list that I was considering looking at, still on the board. But alas, he is not on the board. So I'm gonna go a little off the book here, but not really. My 6th pick, I'm gonna pick somebody. I noticed I'm a little light on the babyface side over there.
Oh, you may be about to snake me again.
I don't know if I'm going to snake you again, but my next pick, I need somebody, a good baby face and someone that just oozes charisma, and this person has the most charisma of anyone in the WWE. With our sixth pick, I select Shinsuke Nakamura.
Oh, God. Oh, my God. Oh, you have recovered from what I did to you taking the Bullet Club. Sasha Banks and Shinsuke Nakamura. Oh, my God. Oh, you struck back in fine fashion, my friend. I got to tell you. That is going to leave a mark on me. I am distraught because that is an amazing pick. I don't know what else to say about that. Moving on here, trying to put together some kind of semblance of a plan after getting kicked in the teeth here. I need more top heels. Thus far, the only ones that I have are the Bulletproof Balor Club, those 4 guys. I don't see this combo being affiliated with them in any way, but Lana and Rusev. That's going to be my 7th pick because that is Rusev's a guy that's still got upside. I think we've seen in the right climate he can be rehabilitated enough. I thought at one point in time, you could get him hot enough for a feud going into a Mania or a SummerSlam with Brock Lesnar, and then it came to look very, very ludicrous, but he's on the comeback trail to get into that point. There's still rehab to be done, but he can get there. And that might be the plan if I get Brock here at some point. So Lana and Rusev is my 7th round pick.
That's a good choice. I actually did one time at a fantasy WrestleMania on 2K16, and one of my matches was Brock Lesnar versus Rusev.
Right, that would be a great one.
If Rusev could have been built up to that. He still could be. It just it depends on where they go with him or not.
Absolutely.
Who do I want next? All right, my next pick that I'm going with to complete, I guess I'm debating between 2 picks here that I want.
Okay.
I'm going to go with the first one that would still be there, but I'm going to go with it anyway. I'm going to go with, on the tag team side of things, the anchor of my tag team division, American Alpha.
Oh, interesting. Now, are these guys that you see as being faces right off the bat?
Oh, yeah, they'd be baby faces right off the bat.
I was going to say, because you could bring them in with that kind of jock-like arrogance and sort of like have the fans warm to him.
In an ideal world, I'd bring in Kurt Angle with them, but I don't know if I have that option because he's doesn't really work for the company.
Well, I think we said we were going to use a common sense standard, and by that standard, I mean, here's the thing. I don't think he wants to sign just as a manager, and they don't want to sign him as a talent. Yeah. So that's you're going about it the right way there. That's a hell of an anchor right there, and those are guys that can really get the job
And I'm looking
done.
towards the future on that too.
Right. Well, and that's where, as I look at this, I never like making reactive picks, but outside of the club, I don't really have anything on my tag team heel side yet, so this is a total reactive pick. 8th round pick is Dash Wilder and Scott Dawson, the NXT Tag Team Champions. Thank you. I have to. I mean, that's maybe I'm getting caught at the back end of a run. Maybe Jason Jones would chastise me for this in terms of draft strategy, but I had to get somebody else on that side potentially to go against New Day, and that's a fresh matchup. So I'm going to go with them for my 8th round pick.
And that is a fine pick by you for your 8th round pick. My next pick, I mean, I have Sasha Banks, so I might as well get the heel side of this. Do I get Charlotte and Dana Brooke as one?
Yeah, you do.
I'm taking Charlotte and Dana Brooke.
Charlotte and Dana Brooke. Okay, that's a great combo, and that kind of the one thing that allows me to do a little bit is to kind of sit back at this point because you've taken them off the board. I'm not going to say that I'm going to wait till this thing's all done to start picking women because that would be foolhardy, but you've already got 2 of the big kahunas right there. So that's not where I'm going to look to go with my next pick here, as I am in real time looking over this thing here and trying to see who I think might have the kind of upside to be able to come in here and get some stuff done.
I know who my next pick is. Let's see if you take this person.
Just the fact that you said person.
Okay,
we're not looking in the same direction.
All right.
I think in terms of marketability, in terms of upside, in terms of the kind of things we're looking at here, there's only obviously one set of titles to go around, but I'm going to take Enzo and Big Cass with my 9th round pick.
Good choice.
I want to have them on the roster there. And again, from NXT, they have unfinished business with Wilder and Dawson, and assuming that I would have the parameters to kind of let that play out in the backstory and them never getting over on Wilder and Dawson, I'd like to be able to do that. So, yeah, I'm beefing up my tag team side here just as you're doing with the women. So, Enzo and Cass, 9th round pick.
Well, my next pick actually will one day lead to beefing up my tag team division.
Okay.
It'll one day eventually lead to this person will eventually be the tag team champions.
Okay.
But before he becomes one half of the tag team champions, first he has to finish his feud with his tag team partner.
Okay.
I'm taking Sami Zayn.
Sami Zayn, okay.
And for those who didn't figure it out, his partner will one day be Kevin Owens.
Right.
I mean, I think we all could see that coming at some point in the future. And those who would make anybody who's ever seen the Kevin Steen and El Generico in Ring of Honor knows they make one heck of a tag team. So with that, I got a feud and a tag team.
Yes, you do.
Waiting in the wings.
Yes, you do. And I find that to be very, very intriguing also, too, because they're playing up the whole last match thing at Battleground between them.
Never the last match.
Right. Yeah, exactly. Well, but that's a thing where I'm assuming in real life that means they're going to different rosters. This is a thing here where you're going to have them on the same roster with that stipulation being in place. So that will be kind of fascinating to see how it plays out. The 10th round.
Is that actually a stipulation, or are they just saying it's their last match?
Well, that's a very good point. That I don't know.
Like I don't recall it actually being advertised as a stipulation, like this is it no matter what.
I don't know.
Because I think they're just going to feud forever.
You could be right about that. You could be. In looking at the next picks here, because there's nobody obvious to take next, and because I got to at least stay consistent here on my whole thing about merch, this pick doesn't fit in well with your roster for reasons we've talked about off air, but I can't take the chance that you would beat me to the punch on this anyways. I'm taking Bayley with my 10th pick. Because
good choice.
And I think, again, I don't know if you agree with me, I think her and Sasha need to be separated because I think they need to be anchors on both sides. And I think having a pure baby face like Bayley in the mix would complicate Sasha being the main event baby face on a brand. So I think this is for the best for both of them to be on opposite sides. But I couldn't take the chance that you were going to scoop right in there.
I would have. I considered it. I mean, I do need someone. I do need someone to team up with Sasha Banks to go up against Charlotte and Dana Brooke at some point here.
You do.
Plus to fill out that roster. So I think I have the perfect person in mind to team up with Sasha Banks and take out Charlotte and Dana Brooke. With my next pick, I am going with the Beast, the Conqueror, Brock Lesnar.
A little bit of a curveball there. But,
yeah, he's out there.
Brock Lesnar.
Brock Lesnar. I want Samoa Joe versus Brock Lesnar.
That was literally the first thing I thought of.
That's my marquee, like humongous. Like Samoa Joe is going to get a main event push right out the gate from me because he has to. There's no point in just. I mean, like. There's no point in wasting him around as a mid card. Certain guys are built a certain way, and you look at him. He looks like he's a guy that comes in like I just can't see him in the opening match against Dolph Ziggler.
Well, I tell you this: when you look at the possibility marketing wise here, Brock Lesnar. How about this? A 4-way dance versus him and the 3 Samoans. If you can sign a special attraction here, Samoa Joe, Roman Reigns, Mark Hunt. Make it happen.
Well, that'd be interesting. Mark Hunt just be like, give me my money.
Yes, exactly.
Which he has no. That's a whole other story for another time. But apparently, he tested positive for steroids for PEDs from using an inhaler.
Right.
We'll see about this.
Yeah, we'll see how that plays out.
But as of right now, he is not suspended. He's on my SmackDown roster.
Well, here's a very fascinating thing here because I was waiting. I've been waiting and waiting and waiting, and I'm sure you're going to at some point to take the Wyatt family. I said there was one guy out of the bunch that I wanted, and I'm going to go way the F off the board here. And that guy, I'm extracting him. So if you go to take the Wyatt family, you're just going to get the other guys. I am using my 11th round pick on Luke Harper.
Oh, I thought you were going to take Eric Rowan.
No. I see something in this guy. I really, really do. I want him separate from the Wyatts, but I see something in him.
He's really funny. Like, if you get a chance to, like, listen to interviews and stuff that he does, and, like, he's got a really funny personality.
Yeah.
That, like, really needs to, like, they're not utilizing that properly and letting it shine through.
Right.
And I would love to see maybe even, like, a babyface run for him or something.
He could be at some point. Right now, I would do it in more of, like, a demented Joker kind of a way, but you're absolutely right on that. So I would go with Luke Harper for my pick.
I'm just checking to see what I've got here.
For the 11th round. You thus far...
I'm pretty balanced.
You are pretty balanced. You are.
Well, Seth Rollins is now a babyface. I'm changing some things up.
All right,
on
so
this.
Rollins is going to be a face. Okay.
Seth Rollins is now a babyface.
Okay.
Probably, you know what? Samoa Joe, because Roman Reigns is a heel. Samoa Joe, I'd bring in as a heel also.
Okay.
I had a stroke of genius with my next pick because I got to have a counter to my Chad Gable and Jason Jordan American Alpha.
Okay.
You mentioned something of the of how you need a good solid heel faction.
Yes.
Well, this heel faction isn't on the board. They're not even heels right now, but they're going to be my top heel faction over on SmackDown because you know what? They're entitled to this. Everything they've got, it's in their bloodlines. My next pick is the Uso brothers as heel backup to Roman Reigns and Samoa Joe.
Okay.
All as one badass Samoan group.
Okay. Well, you have finally found a use for those guys. No pun intended whatsoever. But those are guys that, in a conventional sense, no offense to them, I think you could make a good point, wouldn't even get drafted because their babyface run, is basically drawing crickets and whatever.
That's why I need a change of pace and the whole thing. I think, with them over there and being heels as something completely fresh, something completely different, and I think they just make the perfect backup to a heel turn to Roman Reigns.
I don't know if they have the charisma to do it, but God bless you. Maybe they can. I don't know.
Yeah, we'll see.
We'll see. We'll see.
Kyle's gonna be like, "That's a horrible pick. Why would you do that?"
There are a lot of interesting ways that we can still go here with this. In looking at this at this point, again, somebody who is probably undervalued by us to this point, just based on the fact that at least this run that he has is supposed to go through WrestleMania. I'm going to take Chris Jericho with my 12th round pick. I'm going to take another
I missed
guy.
I missed my 10th pick.
Did you?
Yeah, my 10th pick. It was supposed to be the perfect 10, but I missed it. I totally lost track of what we were doing.
I think Brock Lesnar would argue he fits the bill a little
closer. Brock Lesnar is much better of a perfect 10 than
yes,
Ty Dillinger.
I think
unfortunately. I can't draft Ty that high.
Well, again, I think Jericho is somebody that can really have a lot of use in that role on the heel side. Maybe at some point again as the beloved babyface, maybe down the road. But him doing like the surly middle-aged dad gimmick is not bad either.
Yeah, it's good, and I like Jericho. I've always liked Jericho.
Yeah,
sure he's lost like a step or two, but he's like 45 years old and he's still out there going. So
he
more
is.
Power to him.
Exactly, he can still go. Well, now at least you're kind of taking shape on the heel side here with your Samoan SWAT team circa 2K16.
Yeah,
with those four
why
guys.
Not? We'll see what we can do there. I mean, it might work, it might flop. So in case that flops, I'm going to take the rest of the Wyatt family.
Okay, a wise pick, a very very wise, a real value pick for you at this point, and that's where that really comes into play. Very strongly, I believe.
I mean, we don't know any of the upside of. Bray Wyatt, we know what you get. Strowman is still. We don't know what's there. I could have a diamond in the rough, or he could just be as awful as everybody keeps thinking he is.
Yeah.
We just don't know yet. And Eric Rowan is pretty much. It is what it is. He's. I don't see him setting the world on fire as the main baby face or anything. But sometimes they say you need a good solid hand, and he's a solid hand to have.
Well, yeah, and that's where with Braun Strowman, he's become a lot easier to digest ever since Vince got it through his head one way or another. You don't have to push this guy to the moon immediately, because that would be the wrong move. The guy is way too green. The guy doesn't show as much charisma as the other guys. That would be a bad move. As I continue to look at this here and the possibilities, I'm going to go for my 13th round pick. If nothing else, because there's a feud built in here at some point, you can get a pay-per-view or two out of this one here. There's somebody left that still owes a job to John Cena, and by a job I mean doing the job, and that would be Alberto Del Rio. So I will take him, number 13. A guy who still has some use. They've struggled to kind of get everything that they can out of him, but I still see some upside there in him. And in the 13th round, he feels about right. So I'm going to take him to help beef up my heel side a little bit more. So,
that's a good pick there. I wasn't even. I mean, I did see Del Rio. Actually, my only reason I was considering drafting him was for the Hispanic demographic.
There's that too.
You know, that is a big thing, and
exactly.
Apparently, Hispanics aren't going to watch my show because I'm still not going down that road yet.
Okay.
In my decisions here, kind of again in real time, glancing up and down the board to see who is available and who I can take, and I guess this one is kind of a one of those twofers. Just for the sake of having, I'm going to go with the Intercontinental Champion, The Miz, and his lovely wife, Maryse.
Okay.
My drinking buddies.
Well, and I was looking at that too, but it was one of these things where it would have been a little bit awkward because in terms of the secondary titles, he's got one as we're taping this, and the other one is with Rusev right now, so it's probably better if we have them split up. That gives you your mid-card champion going in, so that's a good selection for you. Number 14, I'm going to go, once again, in an unconventional direction, and I'm going to need to go on a real run of loading up on baby faces here at this point because I keep going heel here at this point. We don't have to split up, guys, but I already did it once with Luke Harper, and I'm going to do it again. Give me Bubba Ray, make that Bully Ray Dudley for my 14th round pick here.
Good choice. Is he going to be a babyface or a heel?
He is going to be a heel. I
am
fantastic.
I considered doing that.
Heel, dickhead, Bubba Ray Dudley.
That was actually one of my, if I was going to break up a tag team, it was going to be that one and take Bully Ray on that one.
The question at this point is, does Devon even get drafted by
probably,
either one of us?
Probably not. You never know. I mean, I really have no use for Devon on my roster. We'll see maybe later on. Future endeavors, I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, like you, Devon. You know, unfortunately, you're kind of a one-shtick thing.
Pretty much. And we're assuming, I think, for the sake of argument here, whoever doesn't go in our 75 guys getting drafted ends up back at NXT. So imagine Devon Dudley as an NXT recycling project.
I think he'd be a coach.
I think you're right.
I think he'd be a coach.
Yeah. You might be hanging up the boots here as a result of this draft here, Devon. But, yeah, Bubba Ray is my 14th round pick on the heel side.
Well, my next pick I'm going to decide here, and I'm going to stick with the theme of former TNA World Champion. I just can't decide which former TNA World Champion it is that I'm going to be taking with my next pick.
Okay.
I got to go with the one that I think has the most upside out of the three that I'm staring at right now, and I'm going to go with the one that I think has the most upside as a main event player ready and waiting to happen, has the look that the WWE likes. I'm going with the It Factor, Bobby Roode.
Ooh, doggone it. That's another guy I was looking at because he has no history to my knowledge with, although again, him and AJ Styles were around a lot at the same time, obviously, but no real history with the Bullet Club per se, but I got one more guy that I want to pair with this new Bulletproof Balor Club or whatever we call it. So, damn it. Bobby Roode was the guy I was looking at for that role. Damn you. That's a good pick. That's a really, really solid pick on your part. I feel like, as I'm looking to beef up the other side of things here, number 15, once again, I think I'm having to play some defense on this here. I'm going to go with Hideo Itami because I need some help on the face side. Do you agree with me that it's also good for him and Nakamura to be on different brands?
I was about to say that you can't have both Japanese guys on the same thing,
right?
Or also be a tag team, or also just feud with each other.
Right,
that's all they know how to do.
Yeah. You just get into that endless cycle.
And it makes those cool moments when they do pass and they see each other and be like, "Oh, hey!" Like they have a conversation and they just start talking to each other in Japanese and just keep walking.
That would
be so funny. Like, "Oh, hey, I know you." It's like that would be entertaining, I think.
So Itami's a guy where I can start kind of beefing up my face side a little bit here. I'm taking him 15.
Good pick. I'm glancing through right here to see who is on my list of people that I could possibly be wanting.
That's where, again, doing this in real time as we are. This
makes
is
it
the challenge.
so much more interesting to see
yeah.
who it's going to. Oh, there's a solid pick. A potentially main event babyface talent.
Okay.
I am going with Apollo Crews.
I was going to take him and say about the same thing. That's another guy you beat me to the punch on. They have completely mishandled him since he came up. But that's a guy where, and he's got to improve on the stick. But, I mean, if he does, like all these comparisons I've heard to like, oh, well, you could be like a better Bobby Lashley. I'm like, if
that's because they're both black.
Well, yeah, and they
and
look
bald.
a little bit the same. A cue punchline here. But, I mean, to compare him to Bobby he's already infinitely better than Bobby Lashley was. Because Bobby Lashley couldn't talk either.
Yeah.
So
Bobby Lashley was hilarious when he'd talk.
Yeah.
That's why I haven't seen I know he's like the TNA, he's a champion or something, but I haven't seen him in forever.
Yeah.
I saw him on Bellator a couple times fighting.
Well, yeah, no offense to him, and I guess,
he was Black Lesnar.
Yeah, he was. That's what we used to call him. And again, God bless him. He served in the armed forces. I have a lot of respect for anybody that did, because I think he was like, an Army wrestling champion or whatever. So
he's also the reason new guys don't get pushed in the WWE.
Yeah, exactly. Because, I hate to say it. I mean, it was god-awful. But oh, my God, Crews has got so much upside potential.
Crews can work with like my roster over there. I'm trying to remember who I got there. Like I could very easily see him going up against my Samoan Badass faction.
Yes,
taking on some of those guys, or a feud with Kevin Owens, or even on the opposite side. He fits. You can work with a Zayn, anybody like that.
Right.
So I'm happy with that he was available for my pick.
Absolutely. But you got him. You got Sami Zayn. I mean, as far as babyface guys who can maybe draw a little bit of sympathy here. The well may be running dry for me here. If I don't go ahead and pull the trigger on this one, I'm going to go for Neville with number 16. I got to get somebody in that role here.
Yeah, you definitely need that underdog babyface.
Yes, I do. I need that white meat babyface, which, again, no pun intended. Crews could be as well. But, again, I don't have the option of that. I don't have the option of Sami Zayn. So this is where we kind of force each other into these kind of picks here from time to time. But that's good because that helps both of our rosters to be well-balanced. We want this. Both of these are shaping up to be great rosters the way we're shaping them strategically. But that's my pick here in the 16th round as I bounce back a little bit on the face side with my last two picks, him and Itami. What's very, very interesting, I have a very international flavor to my baby faces here. Cesaro and Itami and Neville. And
I kind of do too, though, if you look at mine. I got Shinsuke Nakamura up there.
Yeah.
I got
Sami Zayn
up there in a way.
Brock Lesnar's now a Canadian.
Brock Lesnar's now Canadian, yes. Representing the country of Canada, I have Brock Lesnar. Yeah, so, I mean, and he's a baby face.
Yeah.
Who's gonna boo Brock Lesnar?
Pretty
he's
much.
The bringer of world peace.
Yes, he is. I forgot to put Paul Heyman down here with him as well.
Oh, yeah, I get Heyman. I forgot.
You get Heyman, and that's where, again, Heyman, I don't think at this stage likes to be used with different talent, but, there is that option. So,
well, for my next pick, and this pick is, it's amazing. What round are we in? 16?
Round 16.
It's amazing that this pick, it's funny. He's in our draft in 2016. He is around 16. At the initial draft, he was number 1. He was the number 1 pick overall in the 2002 draft. I'm going for dream match purposes. I'm taking the Undertaker.
Doggone it, and I was going to do that with you. You've snaked me now a few times because that I was really getting to the point of starting to think okay, for those times, a couple times a year. Now again, and this is going to be a true test of how the WWE holds true to their whole thing about the brand split. They should make even the part-timers adhere to it. So it's a thing where theoretically they could book a match, say, even in this universe, let's say Undertaker versus Finn Balor or whatever at WrestleMania. They shouldn't do that. They should have to go by the strictures of this thing.
I would actually be okay with that WrestleMania for the purpose of dream matches because they're kept apart by doing brand versus brand. I'd be okay. For example, you have John Cena. I still want to see John Cena versus the Undertaker at WrestleMania.
See, I do too. Maybe if it's WrestleMania only, maybe that might make it happen.
And I mean, it also might be a case where it just depends on who he's feuding with, what they need him for. Like for example, on your part-time list, you didn't have The Rock.
No, because I was thinking to myself, I initially did, but I was thinking The Rock realistically, they're going to have him show up on either show depending on whatever.
Yeah.
Austin, same way. So there's a couple
He's
guys.
More of a legendary status at this point.
Pretty much, yeah.
He's not even a part-time wrestler.
Well, that's the thing. Like, if Piper was still alive, that would be the case. If Hogan's reputation were still alive, which it may be in their eyes once again, Hogan will be a guy that they have show up on either show. So,
oh, man, if he was on this list, he'd have been the number one pick for both of us. We'd have been fighting, crawling, and scratching.
Yeah.
I would have taken the rest of the NWO, too. I would have taken Nash and Hall.
Brother.
Brother. Can I take the corpse of Macho Man?
Oh.
Too soon?
Isn't Damian Sandow doing that gimmick on the Indies? Yeah. All right. And looking at this here, it's really, really getting to the point of being tough. But
there's still some solid picks on there. I mean, it's
there
not tough yet. I mean, I can see like 4 or 5 here that I would want to go with.
Well, and as much as I am complaining about not having enough, all-American, white meat baby faces here, I'm going to make it worse, and I'm going to make it worse by breaking up another tag team. The one guy of the two that still has a lot of upside, as we've seen from them playing footsie with giving him a push, is Kalisto. So that's going to be my 17th round pick. And again, if
one likes
else,
you, Sin Cara.
If nothing else, this is a roster that can give me some great TV matches for a 3-hour show. So
you own that Hispanic audience that we got him and Alberto Del Rio. So now they're gonna have to fight each other all the time.
They're gonna have to,
and,
yeah. Even though that feud's already been done, we got to go back to that well again and again and again.
And they're gonna be. He's representing all the Mexicans who grew up in Chicago.
Well, at the risk of seeding the Puerto Rico demographic right off the bat, you can have Primo and Epico if you want them.
I'm good. I don't want Primo and Epico. Don't try to give me that. Can I have Carlito? I mean, I'll take Carlito instead.
Yeah.
Only if I get them both. That would be cool.
The guy who's got more charisma than both of his brothers put together.
Crazy how that works.
Yeah. Well, but again, he allegedly is a pain in the ass, and that's why he doesn't have a job there. So that's how these kind of things tend to work a lot of times. So we're going to be starting to really look, I got to think at this point, the guys just with upside and guys that we really think we can kind of mold. We're not there yet at the halfway point of this thing, as it were, the bullet round, but we're getting closer to it here. So you and I are really kind of having to scratch on what we're going to do with some of these guys.
Yeah. My next pick I'm going to do, because I've got I need someone to have Sasha Banks back against Charlotte and Dana Brooke, and
okay.
Brock Lesnar obviously does not fit that bill. So I'm going to go with the Empress of Tomorrow, Asuka.
Ooh, okay. That's an amazing pick right there. Your women's division is beating my ass at this point. I am going to have to scratch to kind of catch up here. That is amazing. With being able to put her in there with Sasha and Charlotte, and Dana Brooke might be our Cleveland home girl, but I don't know. I'm not gonna lump her in with that.
No, not at all.
No.
I watched her last match. I forget, it was Sasha, and it literally looked like Dana was just running to keep up. Like she just kept trying to, like Sasha would just go in circles around her, and Dana's just trying to do her best to remember what the next move is and just to keep up with her. And when it's finally over, she's just like, "Oh, thank God, it's done." I'm
rooting for her so hard because she's from Cleveland, but it's just like you got to give me something to work with here.
Yeah, Can I just root for Alexa Bliss instead, because she's from Columbus, so it's still Ohio.
Well, apropos of absolutely nothing after your last pick here, my 18th round pick is going to be Dolph Ziggler.
That's fantastic. I was actually considering taking him. My other drinking buddy.
Yes, your old drinking buddy. As I need to continue to beef up my face side
and
here.
That's a guy you could fit in there. He could be in. The funny thing with him also, if you wanted to, you could do with him. I mean, there's also the heel potential with him. He had a great heel run of being like, I'm just sick of this and I don't care anymore.
Well,
I'm just waiting for the one day where Dolph Ziggler just snaps.
Well, he's a guy who's very good at doing and we haven't seen it in a long time from him because of the role that he's been in. He's very good at doing the gimmick of I'm better than you.
He is, except for right now, I don't think anybody would believe that because he never wins. So he's really not better than anybody. I mean,
you're right about that.
Maybe the perfect 10 Ty Dillinger.
Yeah.
He might be better than him. And I'm still not drafting him yet.
You're right. It would make it very, very difficult for that to be the case. But I'm going to go with him as my 18th round pick. And we're going to be getting into some very, very interesting ones here as far as the possibilities going forward, because we're going to be looking at a lot of upside, I think, predominantly as we're going through this thing here.
Yeah, my next pick I'm going to go with, he's still on the board, I'm going to go with one of the other former TNA World Heavyweight Champions that's on the board, and now he's off the board. He is the greatest man who ever lived, and now he's going to be on SmackDown, Austin Aries.
Another guy I wanted. Oh, doggone it. Doggone it. And I was even...
And I got to use him as a heel because he's so good. Do I have any baby face? Okay, I do have some baby faces.
Well, two of them are Brock Lesnar and The Undertaker, so...
I don't know.
You know.
I may have to do something about that.
It's...
Bobby Roode, I could transition over to babyface very easily. Same thing with Aries, you know. Samoa Joe could be a babyface.
The other thing here,
I don't really have to have him in my Samoan badass faction because he isn't really one of them.
Right.
They could kick him out based on that.
They
Like,
could.
You're not really one of us.
You're not part of the bloodline,
You're
brother.
not one of us.
Well, and I'll tell you what, too. It's one of these things. You don't want to jerk with guys outside of their natural roles, except they can be sometimes electric, switching over and seeing what happens. Kevin Owens at some point, as an against the world, you know, Austin type badass babyface. I mean, that's a guy right there, right? That's got
I mean, he gets pops. All he has to do is direct his insults towards heels.
Right.
That'd be fantastic. Like, I would love that. Like, my whole premise and idea is for him to be a babyface and be a tag team champions with Sami Zayn.
Right.
And it'd be absolutely hilarious. Like, them as tag team champions, but like, you know, they still don't like each other, but not the whole like wacky tag team partners who hate each other. They don't like it. He's like, you know, they're like brothers who fight. I guess is kind of like my whole concept of it. Like, I can kick your ass, but if anybody else wants to kick your ass, they got to deal with me, kind of thing.
The weird thing is, they've been even delving into that a little bit before blowing off the feud. Like, them both giving the super kicks to Jericho. It's like, I don't think they should be doing that quite yet.
Not quite yet, but I mean, there's just so much potential there for a run with them as a tag team that you know, we shall see.
Right, and I would agree with you. And the one thing about this too, I love so many of the tag teams that they have now, but what I don't love is, and I'm including NXT in this, that even after the split, there's going to be so many tag teams on either side. I wish we had a climate where there was fluidity of, like, we talk about Dolph Ziggler. That's another way that you could use him. Put him in a tag team with somebody. But there's already established tag teams. You don't want them getting lost in the shuffle, you know.
You mean like Febreze?
Yeah, Febreze.
Why are they not called Febreze?
They should be.
Like, seriously. And they're here to clean up the mess.
They should be.
Seriously, it's like, you know, you're an uggo, you smell bad, and they spray Febreze at people. This is like they could have a sponsored tag team.
Sponsor, yeah.
It'd be fantastic. I mean, I'm like, Breezango? It's like you sat there and you looked at both their names, you went, huh, you saw Breezango. You didn't think Febreze was the first thing that popped into your head? I mean, what the heck?
According to CM Punk, Brock Lesnar is the only guy who's allowed sponsorships, so there you go.
Okay. Sponsored by Horse Meat.
Yeah.
I watched a video online the other day on YouTube of Brock Lesnar hunting. If you ever want to see Brock Lesnar orgasmically happy, there's a video of him shooting a buck.
Okay.
He's shooting a buck. He's out hunting, and he shoots with a bow and arrow. And I kid you not, Brock Lesnar gets as giddy as a schoolgirl at the sight of him shooting this deer. And he's like, I got him. It's like, oh, that was a good buck. And it's like bleeding out and stuff. And like he walks by and he's like, sees the blood. And he's like, oh, yeah, he's going to be deer meat. And then it ends with like Brock with a big smile on his face goes, yeah, that's a good one. He's counting. He's all giggly happy. He drags the deer out of the creek where it's at. And he's like, he pretty much throws it up on like one arm, drags it out, and he's like, I'm eating deer meat tonight. Yeah. It's just like, what the heck did I just watch? Like, he's so, like, he looks like a little schoolgirl. Like, you just got a date to prom.
I'll answer that for you. I think you just watched the PETA fundraising video.
it's like, yeah, apparently that's what Brock Lesnar, there's several videos of him on YouTube. That's what Brock Lesnar does. He gets orgasmic at hunting.
That's amazing.
Like, he's you know, he wants to unite people, but he wants to destroy animals.
that is absolutely amazing. I have figured it out for my 19th round pick here in terms of who my heater for the Balor Club is going to be.
Ooh.
Because I'm looking at it here. There's a little bit of, shall we say, common ethnicity with one of the fellows involved in it. I need something to make sure that these guys don't get, like, I don't want it getting too blurred like it was with the NWO to where they were like too cool as heels. I got to make sure there's somebody in there to draw enough actual heat on them. My 19th round pick, fella, is going to be Sheamus, the new heater for the Bulletproof Balor Club.
Is that your name, the Bulletproof Valor Club?
Yeah.
That's the name
Yeah.
you're going with? Okay.
I read that
Bulletproof Valor Club.
They were thinking about going with that as a name because obviously they can't use Bullet Club. They were looking at Valor Club, but apparently that's going to be the point of if Valor joins them is to work his name into it. So
all right, that's BBC.
He's my heater. He's the heater.
He's
for
your
the
heater.
BBC.
That's
You gotta, because he's big enough for that role. I told you I was looking at Bobby Roode for that, but he's bigger. He's more in the traditional role. And again, for all these smarks out there, they're going to be tempted to cheer for the Bulletproof Valor Club. Maybe they'll think twice about cheering when you got that guy coming out with his "you look stupid" look.
Oh, now they're definitely going to cheer for him. What are you talking about? Let's put him over the top. He's the most beloved baby face on the entire roster.
Yeah.
I mean, what's up with that?
Well, and again, that's a guy that Vince apparently still, unless things have completely changed, still thinks is money. So, that's more of a license to push them to the top, I suppose, in his eyes. So Sheamus is my 19th round pick.
It's a good 19th round pick there.
Last of our upper mid-card guys on this diagram.
The entire top of the I was just looking at that, seeing what I got available here and who's been taken. Here we go. Oh, well, might as well take the other 4-horsewoman still available. I'm going to go with Becky Lynch.
Ooh. Now, the thing I was thinking about with that is that, again, I kind of knew I didn't want Becky on the same brand as Bayley because
you only have Bayley. Bayley's the only woman on your roster.
Well, exactly. But that's where. But at this point, now I'm going to look to start filling things out.
And I may try to trade to get her.
Well, I'm going to look to start filling things out a little bit more from this point here. My 19th round pick on that side. This is not a feud that I would race into, because this is maybe something you build to more for Mania. We're gonna need to see this on the main roster, particularly if they end up on the same brand, and I think there's a decent chance they might. That's just a guess on my part. Nia Jax.
Man, that was my next pick.
Yeah, I knew I had to cut you off at the pass here.
Oh, she was going to be my next pick.
Yeah.
I was going to round up my division, my women's division, and she was going to be the last member of my Samoan badass dynasty.
She's my 20th round pick here, Nia Jax. I had to stop you from steamrolling my women's division.
Yeah,
so.
she was. I had the perfect spot for her too, right with my Samoans.
Well, I have my anchors now. I have Bayley and Nia Jax atop either side, and I need to fill it out from there. And that'll be once we get more to the speed round here in a second. But Nia Jax is the last pick of the first part of the draft for me.
Well, my last pick on the first part of the draft, as I'm looking here to see who's available and who I want, because really Nia Jax I was gonna complete my women's division, but now I can't with that, and all the rest that are there I can kind of just fill in either one of them. I mean, God bless you, Eva Marie, for even making this list that I'm looking at. Oh, man, this is kind of tough because I'm getting down to the nitty-gritty here. Thinking.
It's tough.
It is very, very tough
at this point, buddy.
Trying to come up with somebody that has some upside that could be. This one is going to be all right. Well, I'm going to go a little off the beaten path here, and I don't even know if he's going to be a babyface or he's going to be a heel. I just know everybody tells me he's like the greatest thing ever. He's like the next superstar, internationally speaking. I'm going to go with Zack Sabre Jr.
Ooh, okay. One of the unsigned guys from the Cruiserweight Classic, Zack Sabre Jr. And, again, just to let everybody know, we had kind of said going into this thing here, common sense standard. If you're in the Cruiserweight Classic, you are easily signable for WWE. So that's a legitimate pick here. This isn't like the Kurt Angle thing before about, well, would they sign him, would they whatever, or if you're taking an established New Japan guy where you can't get out of a long-term deal. Zack Sabre Jr. as your 20th pick. All right, now we get to the bullet round here. Boom, boom, boom on the picks as we had discussed previously. So number 21 for me, I'm going to go with Paige. I got to keep filling out this women's division here.
I was looking at Paige, and Paige is a good pick on that one. I was considering that one. I am on my next pick. I'm actually going to fill out my Samoan Badass group. I'm going to go Tamina.
So? Oh, Tamina. Okay. All right. Yeah. She's
She could get a nice little, decent little push there. I mean,
Yes.
she doesn't have the same upside as Nia Jax, but you took her, so what?
She's very capable. She is extraordinarily capable. As I look at this here, gonna need more along the lines of annoying women to anchor that side of the division here. Rivals for Bayley, Alexa Bliss. They've developed good chemistry together down there in NXT. Thank you.
That's a good choice there.
So, Paige can go on either side. Alexa Bliss will definitely be a heel.
I'm going to go with one more woman, and she's not even on the list.
Okay.
But I'm going to complete my little 4-horse women group.
Okay.
Not the actual ones, but the grouping that could be. I'm going to pair this one with Charlotte.
Okay.
And I'm going with Tessa Blanchard.
Ooh! One of the, I guess she's more considered a trainee down at NXT or whatever. But, yeah, oh, my God. Oh, that's a great pick. That's a great, great pick. That is, and I
get the 4 horsemen of the next generation.
Oh, and she
Double A have a kid. Does she have a daughter? I'll go get her too.
She's been doing a great job of
Does
developing.
Sid have a daughter?
There.
No, just kidding. We don't want that.
What about Paul Roma?
Oh, I could go with Sister Abigail.
Oh, you could.
Bray Wyatt's
possibly.
sister. I think she's training down there. I'm
You
not
could.
drafting her, but I'm not going to waste a pick on it. But it'd be fun.
Need another definite babyface chick and somebody that has real life chemistry with Bayley. 23rd round pick is Carmella. Can also be used with Enzo and Cass.
I am going to go with, for my next pick, somebody that moves merchandise to an extent, has some popularity behind him. I don't know how my babyface. I'm actually still fairly balanced over there. I'm pretty proud of
pretty
myself.
well balanced.
I'm going to go with Zack Ryder.
Zack Ryder, okay. Long Island Iced Z. All right. The old WWE Internet champion from back in the day.
That worked out well for him.
Yeah, that'll teach you to get yourself over. I don't know that I like these two guys paired together at this point in time here, but I certainly like the option to do whatever with them. 24th round pick is Coach Backlund and Darren Young.
Fantastic.
Thank you. Here's
my question. If Coach Backlund wasn't with him, would he have taken Darren Young?
Probably not.
Probably not. My next pick, this guy is another one that has a lot of charisma. It's going to be on a mid-card babyface act that has gotten over pretty huge already, and I could see it doing well on the main roster. I'm going with No Way Jose.
Wow. Okay. That's a guy I haven't gotten to see as much of from down there. An interesting pick to take right now. No Way Jose going on there for you. For me, 25th round pick, utility guy. Still got some upside. Just kind of a part-timer in NXT right now. I always liked Rhino.
Rhino, who, by the way, is running for Michigan State Representative. He got the
right.
endorsement for the Detroit News.
That's right.
I say don't vote Democrat or Republican. Unless that Republican you're voting for can do a gore, you can vote for Rhino if you live in Detroit. I'm totally okay with that one.
He's running as a Republican?
He's running as a Republican.
In Detroit?
Yeah,
Best
in
of
Detroit.
luck with that.
Yeah, good luck. But he's Rhino. He can run as whatever.
Exactly.
I mean, he's
Yeah.
got that celebrity factor. I mean, who are you going to vote for, this guy or Rhino?
Right. That's a beautiful thing.
It's like, I wonder if he's going to be on the ballot as Rhino.
That he should be. He should be.
Like, what, my options are Bob, this guy, or Rhino? Like, is it an actual rhinoceros?
I'm in favor of that, by the way.
Vote
I'm on
for
record
Rhino.
as being in favor of that.
Fantastic.
Nice.
Oh, I'm up next.
Yes.
Because you took the Councilman Rhino.
I did.
Well then,
Rhino.
Fine. I'm going to take the other politician. You know what? I am going to take off the board the big red libertarian, Kane.
Ooh, Kane. Okay.
I like Kane. I know,
I
like
do too.
smarky people, like, I'm looking at you, Kyle, are like, they're like, oh, Kane, blah blah blah. Like, him in his role, honestly, I would actually much rather just keep him in a behind-the-scenes role as, like, corporate Kane.
Right.
But just being hilarious about it. Like, because, like, okay, he can maybe every once in a blue moon when The Undertaker comes back or whatever you need to do for Demon Kane. But, like, if he just stayed as corporate Kane forever and didn't really wrestle and was kind of like a plucky baby face kind of thing maybe, like, as a de facto against the my Samoan badass group or whatever.
That's
They're
right.
Just plus, Kane's in a limited capacity can still put over new talent.
I agree.
I just don't want to see him main eventing.
No, I don't either. For my 26th round pick, guys that I'm going to bring in as heels just because I feel like it gives them a better chance to get over initially, showing personality, which is one of the things that's much easier to do as a heel. It almost feels like it's cheating to take both of them. But, hey, they've been an NXT tag team I'm going to exercise that option. Johnny Gargano, Tommaso Ciampa are going to be my 26th round pick. Thank you.
Very good pick.
Thank you. Just as a way of just beefing up the work
Another
rate.
Cleveland boy right there, Johnny
Yes.
Johnny Wrestling.
Absolutely. Building for the future here. 26th round pick.
That's that was kind of something I was looking at also when doing this. Well, this guy's still on the board, so building towards the future, and he's the other international star. I'm going with Kota Ibushi.
Ooh, okay. Another guy that I was looking at here. Well, we were joking about this before about keeping Tommy and Nakamura separate.
Well, he's going to have to go to one of them. We can't keep them separate forever.
Yeah. Well, and you know what? He's probably better off because again,
in my Triple H led Shane McMahon group.
Well, I mean, like,
don't forget I have Triple H too.
Right. But like, nobody is as charismatic as Nakamura. So it's like, in a weird way, I think he's almost better off being on the same brand. Because then it's not like there's Nakamura and then like the two Japanese guys who suffer in comparison in terms of that on the other brand. It helps distinguish the other two guys more, having them separate, if that makes any sense.
That makes perfect sense.
Does it? Okay.
Yeah.
Good. I'm glad it does. All right, next pick for me, I'm going to go with a guy that's got some upside, I think, here, if he can stay out of Vince's doghouse. 27th round pick is going to be Titus O'Neil.
The big deal. He's like almost 40.
Yeah.
I did not know that.
Yeah.
He's almost 40 years old. That's kind of crazy. I saw some list of like oldest WWE superstars, and it was hilarious because I immediately got called to task on it because like not listed on there was Mark Henry, Kane, or The Big Show. I was like, how can you not list the 3 oldest guys?
Well, also too, and like a weird kind of thing is apparently like independently, I don't know if it would be wealthy, but like very successful. Like he got into it apparently as like being a neighbor of Batista's. Like, you know the area code that Batista must live in at this point in time.
Yeah.
So it's like, this is a guy who was like already like very successful and then got into wrestling. That is not the usual glide path, Jake Digman, to getting into pro wrestling.
Yeah, so he doesn't really need this. I mean,
Right.
He's just doing it for something fun to do.
Yeah, like most guys are not like that. So, interesting. Just makes him a more admirable story even.
Yeah. My next pick, I'm going to go with, he's still on the board, and sticking with, Triple H-led, Ryan Ward-written NXT. They knew what to do with this guy before. They would know what to do with him again. I'm going with the lone wolf, Baron Corbin.
Okay. And the interesting thing is, that's a guy, no matter which show he goes on, there's going to be a lot of built-in feuds, because particularly now this whole new era thing, anybody out there at the Smarks, like, that's a natural feud for him to slide into. You got a lot of guys. I got a lot of guys. We can make it work. Speaking of needing a lot of guys, 28th round pick, if nothing else, I need bodies. We're going to need bodies to fill up the TV time here. These guys probably deserve better than what they've gotten right now, and maybe I can salvage them for something down the road. But I am taking the combo of Heath Slater, Bo Dallas, and Curtis Axel to go out there, and the Social Outcasts.
Social Outcasts. So you have your jobber division. Very
basically,
proud of you.
yeah. I mean, that's kind of what they can be for right now. Again, 3 hours plus. Is it Superstars that's affiliated with Raw?
I think so, yeah.
So it's like, well, I don't know if you'd use them much on there, but yeah, 3 hours is 3 hours, buddy. I need bodies, and now I got more of them.
My next pick is actually something similar to that, because I guess I do have a lot of veterans on my roster, but not a lot of full-time veterans.
Right.
I mean, I got The Undertaker. I picked Kane. I'm going to go with these couple guys here that are nice utilities that for that purpose only, for putting over my younger talent. I'm going with Goldust and R-Truth.
Okay. Well, and that's another one, too, where it's like, almost like with Gargano and Ciampa. I mean, it's like you're kind of like robbing a bank getting to take both of them together there, because they have their own identities and whatever. But, hey, that's the rules of the game, and you are exploiting them very, very well, my friend. So being able to take these two guys together and use them, Goldust and R-Truth, they definitely have some utility at this point in time. 29th round pick for me, in terms of looking at upside, guy that I've been very, very impressed with in just the limited clips I've seen leading up to the Cruiserweight Classic tournament. This guy is going to get a promotion, because he hasn't even really been, like, I think, a feature TV player in NXT yet. Straight to the main roster. I told you I need baby faces here. Rich Swann.
Nice.
One of the purest baby faces you can get in this day and age when you work in the real-life story and the athleticism. 29th round pick.
That's a very good that's a very good pick. I was actually entertaining that, so I'm going to go with. Apparently, I need. I'm alienating my Hispanic race, which I guess I got No Way Jose, but I'm going to go with the Andrade Cien Almas.
Oh, nice. That just out of curiosity, how do you see the guy right now? Which side do you put him on?
Oh, I make him a babyface.
Okay.
Because if I'm reaching out to this Hispanic demographic with the guy, I can't make him a heel.
That makes sense.
That would just not really work out very well at all for me.
Yeah. If you're going that way, it makes sense. All right, Almas is your 29th round pick. 30th round pick for me. In terms of, again, if nothing else, I need bodies, and bodies that you can use for a certain purpose at this point are as valuable as anything else. I think he's gotten a raw deal. He's deserved better and could be used better than he has been. I don't know if he's still salvageable for more, but Jack Swagger, a guy that I always bought into the whole poor man's Kurt Angle thing. I really kind of did, but don't know if he's salvageable for anything else. But the guy can work good TV matches. That's all I need. So.
My next pick, just because he's still on the board, I got to take him.
Yeah.
And he can be used as either a psychotic heel or a plucky, fiery babyface. I'm going to go with the final TNA World Heavyweight Champion on the board. I'm going to go with Showtime Eric Young.
Eric Young, very nice. And
my TNA heavy draft roster over there. I just need to get AJ Styles on my trade for AJ Styles somehow.
Eric Young and again
and Bobby Roode. I got them both.
You do, and it's a situation. I think Young, it's a little bit murky on whether he's signed or not, but for these purposes, obviously we're allowing it. If they came to Eric Young and said, we want you on the main roster, he would sign.
He would sign in a heartbeat.
Yes.
And the interesting there, too, because I got Austin Aries and I got Team Canada,
yes,
and I got the Dirty Heels.
You do.
From TNA also. Guys
do.
that have a history that, if need be, I doubt they would ever put them together and acknowledge it, but, if need be, I could do that.
Well, and you got 5 picks left here. I got 10 picks left because Raw's a 3-hour show. Pick number 31 for me. These guys have been sitting out there. I'm going to reel them in right now. I think they could work well, heels or faces. They haven't gotten off to the greatest of starts, but English and Gotch, the Vaudevillains. I'll use them as heels right off the bat still because that's what they've been. English and Gotch are my 31st round pick.
Good choice.
Thank you.
Very, very good choice on that one. What's my tag team division looking like? I don't even know what I got.
You don't
there.
have a whole lot. You got the Wyatts.
But I have.
If you
But
want
I have.
to use them.
But I have potential to make tag teams too.
More than I do, and I almost envy you in that. I almost envy you the fluidity.
Yeah, I have several tag teams that are waiting to happen.
Yes,
so
yes.
I'm debating if I want to actually waste a pick on a tag team that I don't want.
Don't get me wrong. I'm glad I have New Day, Enzo, and Cass, whatever. But it's like I look at you and it's like, man, you could do a lot pairing guys up there.
Yeah.
There's 2 different ways to go. Primo and Epico are still out there.
I see Primo and Epico staring at me, wanting to.
Febreze is still out there.
Febreze was actually who I was thinking about.
Hint: you might want to.
Let's just take Febreze off the board right now, and plus
I was too honest for my own good because I was going to reel him in with the next one. All right, Febreze is your 31st round pick. Febreze, and all right, 32nd round pick for me. I know the clock is ticking on your choices. You're going to need to continue to get ones. I don't know what her rehab is going to go like, if she's going to make it back in, but there's some upside to do something if she does. Nikki Bella.
I figure you have to have her. You have John Cena. I thought about drafting her. I was
politically,
like, no.
yes. Politically, that was always going to have to happen. So Nikki Bella is my 32nd round pick, which may or may not pan out to any degree.
Yeah, you took Paige, right?
I did.
A while back. Okay. I didn't cross her off on my sheet.
Paige was the 21st round pick for me.
Okay. Let's see. How many picks do I have left?
You have you are down to your last 4. So
my last 4?
Yeah.
All right. Well, one of my best options I see on the board here for my last 4 picks, guy that has a lot of potential upsides, very popular, just recently debuted in the Cruiserweight Classic. I'm going with Cedric Alexander.
Oh, nice. Would it be inappropriate if I said that was your strategy of I'll see you, Rich Swann, and raise you a Cedric Alexander? Oh, okay. Yeah, He's really good from what I've seen in the limited doses of him, which, I mean, it's not a surprise. Rarely do you hear a lot about a guy and he fails to live up to the hype. That wasn't one of those cases. 33rd round pick. You know, I need a real heat magnet on the women's side. Few more so than all Big Red here. Eva Marie. Eva Marie is going to come in here and earn the justifiable hatred of the fans on the women's side.
Well played.
Thank you.
With Eva Marie on that pick.
Yes.
All right. So I guess, you know, because I'm not really drafting tag teams, I'm going to make another tag team. Well, they already are a tag team. I actually don't have them in here as a tag team, so I should have technically got them at the same time. But I'm going to take Mojo Rawley, the other half of the Hype Bros.
That's another way you could have gone, yeah. So that's Mojo Rawley. I suppose that I would have actually listed Zack Ryder twice, which would have been kind of funny. But, yeah, if there was anybody on the roster should have been listed twice, I suppose it would have been him because he's playing different roles in different places. 33rd round pick there. 34th round pick for me. As I'm looking around here, I haven't pulled the trigger on this guy because, honestly, even more so than Kane, if you have him on your roster, like, what do you do with him? It's almost a conundrum, but I can't let him just sit out there. I'm going to have to figure out something to do. Big Show is going to be my 34th round pick. And somebody that I guess for the time being I would put on the heel side, and it's hard to find the right role for him. It's very, very hard at this point in time, but, you know, I'd rather have him than not have him, I suppose. Just because you've already got Kane, you've already got some of the other, you know, well-established guys like that.
I got the rest of the monsters.
He's sort of my token guy. Yeah, I got to get at least one of
monsters over there.
So yeah,
on my group. Let's
You're
see.
down to your last two, so make them count.
I'm down to my last two picks.
Yep.
All right. Well, I'm going to go with someone that has a lot of potential. She's coming off an injury, but when she comes back, I just think she's super sexy, has been evil heel. I'm going with Emma.
Ooh, yes. Evil Emma. Few are hotter than her in any definition of the term. So, Emma as your 34th round pick. Well played. My 35th round pick, as I'm looking at this here, I know you're going to want to keep rounding things out in the women's division. Somebody who is an excellent utility player, probably better in the heel role, but somebody who's just good all around, and I think a very underrated worker over the years, Alicia Fox.
Foxy.
She's the kind of person. Foxy is one of these backbone kind of people.
Surprised she's still there.
She's still there.
I haven't seen her forever. But then again, the only people I see on for women's matches are pretty much just Charlotte. And
she's still there, and that's like at this point in time, she's never going to be one of the people you build around. But
she was fantastic when she was doing that whole she was just crazy gimmick.
That was
I
awesome.
loved
by
that.
The way.
I was like, I was the biggest fan of her.
I don't know why they got away from it.
Yeah, that was great.
It was
entertaining, and they changed it.
It was certainly a better short-term gimmick than farting Natalia. But,
I forgot about that one.
Yeah.
Well, my 35th pick, I got to take this guy. You need a utility guy, someone to make your talent look good. This guy has been making all sorts of talent look good. When new talent comes into NXT, this is the guy that puts him over, makes him look well. He worked with The Rock when he was coming back, training in the past. He's worked with several other talents. I'm going to go with the perfect 35, Ty Dillinger.
Ty Dillinger. All right. Ty Dillinger is going in that 35th spot for you here.
You're stuck with the Drifter.
My last few picks here are going to be very, very adventurous ones. I'm going to have one in my 40th pick. I'm saving him for 40. I knew this was going to be a guy undrafted by you because he's a guy who's been forgotten about by the rest of the world. But he still has a lot more to offer than what they've been doing with him. But as much as I was kind of reminded of this a second ago by referring to the old farting Natalia gimmick, but especially with having Tyson Kidd as the general manager, something that will put a lot of intrigue in the women's division is Natalia as a woman wrestler in there. 37th round pick, I would say, one more kind of utility player type. I'm going to go with Summer Rae in that role there. She can get that kind of, bitchy heat kind of deal going there. She's somebody that you can get the fans to kind of turn on a little bit, the right kind of heat, I would say. 38th round pick, I've been liking what I've been seeing of this guy from the promos from the Cruiserweight Classic thing here. Have you been seeing the promos and everything of this Jack Gallagher character?
I have not.
Oh, you got to look him up, buddy. And I know that any of our fans of the show here from across the pond, as it were, I'm sure are already well acquainted with him. But a guy doing this like awesome English gentleman heel gimmick.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah, it's just amazing.
I almost considered having William Regal as my GM. I really did. I almost considered drafting him out of NXT, but then I thought, nah, he's too good in NXT.
This is like a more, I'd say, erudite, polished William Regal, if you will.
Okay.
That like even more so the whole I'm a gentleman. For Regal, it was more like a class kind of a thing here, as opposed to this guy's just doing the straight, I'm a better person than you because I'm refined and polished. So there's that.
There's someone that actually I'm surprised you haven't taken yet. That's sitting there. That fits in with your roster.
Is there now?
Uh-huh.
Well, for my, I'm locked in as far as because I'm going to make my 40th round pick. That's already locked in. I got one more guy. I'm going to do this from the Cruiserweight Classic, a guy who I think has a lot more to offer, and that would be the Brian Kendrick. Somebody who, if nothing else, a great TV worker.
Yeah.
Is that that's not the guy you were thinking of?
Well, no, not at all. No, not one bit.
I guess you can hold this then for when I'm done on who I might have missed on.
Unless you draft this person.
This is somebody not even on the list. I'm going off the board for this.
Oh,
because
it's number 40 pick?
Number 40 is somebody who's under contract but not really like as a talent. My number 40 pick, and I would intend to use him, certainly not as a wrestler, certainly not, but somebody that I would take in the role of being a spokesman. And I've always been like a huge fan of the whole agent gimmick. Somebody who could be like an agent for multiple guys, and maybe that's sort of like a stable by another name. An A-list guy, if you will. David Otunga is my 40th round
That's a good pick.
Thank you, because that's a guy, in terms of like a secondary stable, if you will. I'd put him in there, and I'd have him maybe managing the affairs of, say, maybe a Jericho, a Luke Harper, a Del Rio, a couple guys like that.
That's actually a very good pick. I like that.
Thank you.
Mine was actually Carmella.
Oh,
she could be your lead baby. She could be a baby face with Kaz, Enzo, and a big Kaz.
I took her in the 23rd round.
Oh, did you?
So, yeah,
okay. I didn't even see that.
Okay, you ought to be paranoid that I missed somebody. All right.
I didn't even see that. There.
All right, so that's in looking at the rosters here in terms of the alignment here for Raw, and this again, I'm just guessing on the face and heel side for you for SmackDown, but for Raw, we're looking at faces of John Cena, Dean Ambrose, New Day, Cesaro, Enzo and Cass, Hideo Itami, Neville, Kalisto, Dolph Ziggler, Titus O'Neil, Rich Swann. On the heel side, the Bulletproof Balor Club of Styles, Gallows, and Anderson, who I put together with Balor, who I put together with Sheamus to be the heater. I've got from there Lana and Rusev. I've got Wilder and Dawson as a tag team. Harper, Jericho, Del Rio among the heels. Bubba Ray Dudley only. We've got Coach Backlund and Darren Young.
He's a heel?
Yes. Rhino, Gargano, and Ciampa.
They're heels?
To start anyway.
You have like 5 baby faces. Your whole roster's heels.
I can always flip some of these guys over here.
Have to.
Well, but some of these it doesn't matter. Like, it doesn't really matter as much with Slater, Dallas, and Axel that they're heels because they're not going to be factoring in any programs. Same thing with Swagger. Same thing with Big Show. English and Gotch as a tag team on that side. Kendrick and Otunga on the heel side. The women, let me just give this here. The women, Bayley, Nia Jax, Paige, Alexa Bliss, Carmella, Nikki Bella, Eva Marie, Foxy, Natalia, and Summer Rae. So with you, I don't know if you want to try to negotiate out how the faces and heels are in terms of the alignment.
All right.
What do you think?
We got here my my babyface side of things. I've got Seth Rollins, Shinsuke Nakamura, American Alpha, Chad Gable and Jason Jordan. I've got Sami Zayn. I've got Brock Lesnar. I've got The Undertaker. I've got, who is this right here? I can't read your handwriting. So who did I take 15th? Oh, I got Apollo Crews.
Yes.
On there. I got Zack Sabre Jr. I've got Zack Ryder. I've got No Way Jose. I've got Ibushi. I've got Cien Alamos.
Yes.
I've got Cedric Alexander, and I've got Mojo Rawley.
Okay.
On that side of things, not bad, not bad at all.
Pretty good.
I got my GM Babyface Triple H.
Okay.
Which is an interesting way of.
By the way, and my GM again was Tyson Kidd as a smarmy Dario Cueto type.
Yes, I like that. Yeah, I like that. I'm like, I wish I could just get Dario Cueto. That'd been kind of funny. It's like, welcome to my temple. My heel side of things, I have a heel Samoa Joe to start with, who will eventually be a babyface.
Yes.
My lead heel Roman Reigns.
Not switching anytime soon.
Along with the Usos, my other heels and my Samoan badass group. I've got Kevin Owens, who eventually could switch over to the babyface side of things. I've got I don't know who my number 11th pick is right there. I can't really read
I will
what you
decipher
wrote.
that for you. The Usos.
Oh yeah, okay.
As
Usos.
part of your Samoan
I got the
SWAT team
Wyatts, who
2K16.
also could very easily switch over.
Right.
To the opposite side of things, and the rest of the Wyatts that you didn't get. I have
Wyatts
Bray
minus
Wyatt,
Harper, yeah.
I got Bray Wyatt, Braun Strowman, and Eric Rowan. I've got The Miz and Maurice, who are going to stay heels.
By the way, side note on the Wyatts, I did you a favor. 4 is bulky anyways. You're better off.
Thanks.
Yeah.
I appreciate
Yeah.
that. I got the It Factor, Bobby Roode.
Uh-huh.
I've got Austin Aries. I've got the Big Red Libertarian Kane, who I actually would use on the babyface side of things, I think.
Okay.
I've got as the grizzled veteran. I got Baron Corbin, obviously going to be a heel there. I got Goldust and R-Truth, who would be baby faces. I have no clue why you listed them as heels.
Oh, okay.
I think you just don't like them because their whole act is big baby face. I have no idea what made you think they'd be heels. But
It's hard to keep track of this in real time, but you're right.
That's fine, yeah.
Yeah.
I got Eric Young, who I would actually use as a heel. I would actually use his character he had in TNA that he was using, the kind of like psychotic,
the crazy guy
gimmick. That one. I got Febreze down there. I mean, you could split them down there. And then I've got the Perfect 10, Ty Dillinger, who is going to be. He's like he is to me as the whoever you call them, the social outcasts are to you.
Pretty much.
He's my guy there that I'm used to.
He works for that. And you got a women's division.
And my women's division.
If we were just strictly grading on the women's division, I give you the edge.
I got Sasha Banks as a baby face.
Yep.
I've got my 4 horsewomen as a group. I wouldn't call them the 4 horsewomen though. I would just call them like something like I don't know, I can't do legacy. I'll come up with some name for them where they're all like what's the women version of a horse? I don't know.
Philly.
Yeah. Okay. Well, that's
4
odd.
Phillies.
No.
Okay.
We'll figure something out. But it would be Charlotte, Dana Brooke, and Tessa Blanchard, who I added in there as a surprise draft.
Okay.
I've also got the Empress of Tomorrow, Asuka.
Mm-hmm.
I've got Becky Lynch. I have Evil Emma. And I have affiliated with my Samoan Badass tribe, I have Tamina Snuka.
That's a heck of a women's division. I would, strictly on that. I love my overall roster, and again, I think I was able to get a nice edge by winning the coin flip and getting the Bullet Club and getting off to that start. But if we're just looking at the women's division, I like yours better than mine. I was forced to be reactive once you started.
Once you took my number 1 pick, my entire thing was going to be built around the Bullet Club. I was going for something very similar, except for I wasn't going to do what you did.
Mm-hmm.
I was actually going to have Balor as my foil to them.
Oh, okay.
I was going to bring him in as kind of like as a foil to that group, or I was actually going to have them in all together and Triple H being my leader of them as kind of like an homage, going back to they're an homage to the NWO and DX, so it would make sense that he would somehow be affiliated with them. But alas, it is what it is.
Were you going to keep him at 3 guys though?
I don't know.
Okay.
I initially maybe.
Because my thought is, how could they get to the stature of a 4 horsemen and NWO, whatever, with the only 3
and it
guys?
only makes sense that Finn Balor have something to do with them.
Sure.
So, I mean, that makes absolute sense. And I love the way you used Sheamus in there as a heater, and you can use the connection with they're both Irish.
That's what I'm thinking.
That makes perfect sense.
That's what I'm thinking. They know each other. They could always go to that thing. The interesting thing is, too, and you're way more the New Japan expert than I am, almost anybody is compared to me, but I mean, Finn and AJ didn't even overlap in the Bullet Club, did they?
No, never.
Okay, that's
like
what I
AJ
thought.
took Finn's spot. Basically, Finn left and AJ showed up.
That's what I thought. Well, in looking at this, we were joking about this at the outset that presumably NXT is to be populated by the remains of what's left here. So those going back to NXT at this point would include the Ascension.
Yeah,
so.
that's for the best.
Primo and Epico.
There's could be some potential there. They've just been repackaged so much that I have, like I said, if I get Carlito with them, fantastic. But other than that, I mean, I wasn't interested in them the only time I was ever interested in them ever is when they were secretly the tag team champions for a year.
Right.
And like Rosa Mendez came out and did that little like belly dancer dance.
That's right.
And I didn't even notice they were there. I just noticed her dancing a little music. I was just like, that's so hot.
Exactly. Devon Dudley,
who's got to be the NXT champion now,
or get future endeavored, one or the other. Same thing with Sin Cara.
Sin Cara, I actually considered drafting him as like the heel to my my CN pick, but then I just forgot.
That could be interesting.
I forgot he was on the board still.
Mark Henry, who
his career is probably coming to an end sooner than later.
Yeah, it. And by the way, and no disrespect to these guys, but I just put down Paul Ellering, author of Pain 1, author of Pain 2.
Well,
I haven't bothered
considering
to learn
they
their
don't have names, it's probably best that they go back to NXT. Although Paul Ellering would be kind of cool just to have him.
Right.
That would have been kind of neat.
Right. Blake and Murphy, they're in a weird kind of a place because, like, normally once you've been the tag team champions, your next move is to get called up. So I don't know what's
and they've actually been split up, and they've been doing, like, I guess Blake's in this gimmick like called Beautiful Blake or something.
Okay.
So they might be looking to go in a different direction.
Okay.
And, like, that is weird. Like, Blake and Murphy were the tag team champions for a long time.
Yeah.
And they were putting on some decent matches, and all of a sudden they just were used to put over talent, and all of a sudden they just got passed by.
Exactly. I don't know if I'm pronouncing it right here. Name Zim Salmani.
I have no idea who that is.
Okay. Also,
who is that?
Oni Lorcan, if I'm pronouncing it right, is one of their new guys under a weird new name.
I also have no idea who that is either.
And then Elias Sampson
I
as
know
well.
who the Drifter is.
Yeah.
And he's all right. He reminds me of my friend Brian Feltner if he was a wrestler.
Some top guys from the unsigned guys from the Cruiserweight Classic. I was giving strong thought to Tajiri. Really
thought about it. I was really entertaining that notion. I was also giving a lot of thought, and I almost took this guy with my last pick to put into my Samoan Badass group. That was Sean Maluda.
Although the funny thing is, I was watching this the other night. I was watching the Cruiserweight Classic with NXT Director of Research Nate Noy, and I was saying, wouldn't it be funny if some little kid had never seen wrestling before and was watching this match and was like, Daddy, are all Samoans little lithe cruiserweight guys like that?
Yeah.
I mean, it was just so unlikely. But the Shira brothers doing the Bollywood gimmick, they are very, very interesting. Those are guys that I predict are going to get signed. T.J. Perkins will probably get signed. Noam Dar, Ho-Ho Loon.
Ho-Ho Loon.
From,
he was funny.
From Hong Kong. Just for the Jerry Lawler jokes on commentary alone.
Ho-Ho Loon.
I'm sure that would be worth hearing.
Oh, speaking of, I'm drafting my commentary team.
Okay.
I'm just going to throw this out there because
All right.
I'm just going to because I want them and I'm going to take them. I'm actually going to go with my commentary team is going to be the Cruiserweight Classic. I'm going to do a 3-man. I am going with the Mauro Ranallo,
Okay.
Daniel Bryan,
Okay.
and Corey Graves.
Okay.
I want to look towards the future. Bye-bye, Jerry Lawler. You've been future endeavored.
I mean, I would assume politics being what they are. I probably couldn't break from the Monday Night Raw crew as much as I loathe the way that they've been doing the job. And the funny thing is, for as much as everyone craps on Byron Saxton, he's like the least of the three that I complain about.
Yeah, I don't.
He's just like there.
Yeah,
They don't too actively bother me.
Yeah, like JBL's horrible.
Yes.
Like Michael Cole's horrible, and it's like the thing I like about my group is watching it is that it gives a breath of fresh air. Mauro Ranallo makes what he says makes you believe that it's important.
Yes.
Corey Graves adds that level of expertise as well, that he makes things without he sides of the heels without being over the top about it. JBL just comes across as a blowhard,
Right.
and like he's very annoying about it. And I I had to have some kind of use for Daniel Bryan.
Yes.
So I figured since I didn't use him as my GM, and I very much I think he is going to be the actual GM. I think he is going to be the one that they choose to be the general manager of SmackDown, which I have no problem with that. I mean, I just assumed you were going to go Triple H, and since he was still available, I just said, what the heck, I'll take him.
I didn't want to. I didn't want to go the conventional route. Because then it's just the authority again. It's stupid. The authority way outlived its welcome. I don't like that kind of thing. In terms of the announcers, again, we've heard Cole be, I'd say, at his best, more than passable. JBL, ironically, again, I'll say it again, 10 years ago,
was
back during
great.
the Sunday night submission days, all you got to do is not produce these guys, overproduce them as much to have them be passable. Improvement from within is possible on Monday nights just by not making them be such dislikable douchebags that make you want to squeeze through the screen and choke them. That's the wrong kind of heat. Heat on the promotion, as Dave Meltzer would say. So, those guys, even though politically I realize I'd probably be stuck with them on Raw, hopefully I could have enough juice in this scenario to say don't overproduce them. Let them do more of a logical, organic job doing the commentary. So the women who were undrafted, Peyton Royce down at NXT.
That's for the best she gets back down there.
Well, you need to have an NXT thing to build around. Rosa Mendez, I think, is still on maternity
babies.
leave. Yeah. Aaliyah is down there.
I thought she died in like 1992.
Do we agree that under this scenario, Naomi probably goes down and immediately becomes NXT champ? Because you need to have somebody down there to have
Naomi's going to go to NXT and immediately become the NXT champion? I don't know. Out of this list here, yeah, probably.
She's going back, yeah.
Yeah, I guess she would.
Nobody down there is ready for that mantle, I would think. So
I'm trying to think of who else is down there right now. No, because we plucked them all.
We plucked them dry, buddy.
We took
it's
Bayley.
not our job to worry about NXT. That's how we approach this. We are trying to build solid main rosters. NXT getting a little bit of refunded talent, if you will, here.
Maybe so. According by this logic of the people we plucked out of NXT,
yeah.
So I guess that, oh man, poor NXT just got
almost
murdered.
All of them. Yeah.
I guess the new NXT champion is going to be Devon Dudley.
Or, I mean, if you just
Tajiri.
If you sign somebody off the Cruiserweight Classic. Hey, Grand Metalik had a nice match the other night.
Yeah, so, that could work. That could be a good one.
Just, can you hotshot the belt onto somebody who's still in the tournament? I mean, that's a possibility.
You never know.
You can always do that, but that's not our job to worry about it. It's our job to put together good rosters. But I feel like we did. I'm looking at this here, and again, like I said, I had some nerves going in because I wanted to come out with something credible. I wanted that to be the case with you as well. I had a lot of confidence that you would. Both of us really have something you can point to, build around, and each of us with a franchise heel stable. You with the updated Samoan SWAT team, me with the Bulletproof Balor Club.
I don't like my name. It's updated Samoan SWAT team. Really? That's what I got. What were they actually? Weren't they called something like the Bloodline or something? Did they actually have a name on WWE?
I don't know.
When they were feuding with the club.
Would you rather that's the updated Head Shrinkers?
No. I mean, I don't know. Like maybe the Bloodline or something could work for that.
Could be.
I guess I should have taken Naomi then. Isn't she married to one of them?
Yes, I believe so.
Well.
I believe so, but she's probably going to be busy down at NXT being the women's champ. So
I think she's going to get future endeavored.
That could very possibly be the case.
She's going to hang out with Oni Lorcan. It's going to be the new NXT champ.
A guy who admittedly neither of us really even knows anything about here at the moment.
I didn't even know he existed. I'm looking up, I'm like, who is that guy?
Yeah.
Like, are you just adding names for the sake of names?
This was, he's some fairly recognizable indie guy who they signed who, again, give a goofy new name to. And I think it's a goofy gimmick. And I realize I'm making myself sound ignorant by not even knowing anything about it at the moment. But, hey, the guy's not even really on NXT TV yet, I don't believe. So how are we supposed to know much of anything about the direction for it? But
so if we went off the grid here,
yeah.
If you had one bonus pick that was not in WWE right now, that's not there because there was all these talks about possible names from the past being brought back and being utilized. If you're to pick one just off the top of your head, who would you take?
Who's got a lot of untapped potential and who had like really, really excellent TV matches his last go-round. He's had 2 go-rounds with the company before. Chris Masters.
Okay,
Chris Masters. There's still money in that guy, dude. I'm telling you.
There could be.
Yeah.
My pick is someone who would be, again, off the grid. It hasn't even worked in the WWE before, but would fit into my Hispanic role that I didn't have done. I'm going to go with the former Lucha Underground champion, Prince Puma.
Okay.
A.K.A. Ricochet.
Well, wouldn't that be the whole thing of like when the Celtics drafted Larry Bird a year in advance? I mean,
yeah, pretty much. Like I got to wait for season 3 to be done, but he'll get here eventually.
Yeah, he
But
will.
if I had to go with someone who was already had been in there doing great work, I would go John Morrison.
He's really great as well. I don't know how long he's under contract to Lucha Underground, but he's somebody who's really incredible as well. That's the amazing thing. They've let some great talent get away in recent years. And you throw Mysterio in there who can still go. and a lot of the guys. And that's the amazing thing here is that finally, and it kind of bring this full circle, when Sunday Night Submission was on the show 10 years ago, I've said to Kyle Ross on air, off air, one of the things, like, that show would have been great regardless with Ryan and Kyle. But the fact that, like, 06 was such a nadir for the product, just awful. And going to 3 brands when you barely had enough over talent for 1.5, if that. 06, it had some moments here and there. And, like, SummerSlam was one of the most weirdly star-studded SummerSlams ever.
Is that the one where Randy Orton should have beaten Hulk Hogan?
Yeah, Randy Orton, Hulk Hogan. It's like a trivia question. Like, when was the show that, like, Hulk Hogan, Mick Foley, Sabu, and Ric Flair were all on the same show? It was one of those weird kind of deals. But 06 was such a bad year, I felt like that made Sunday Night Submission even greater. And it's a thing now, and Kyle and I, in the process of doing our whole thing on the history of the Royal Rumble, going through year by year, I beat the drum all the time, the 2000s, the lost generation. Because after the class of 02, until they started, you started seeing the green sprouts here with CM Punk, and then a couple of years later, Daniel Bryan. Until they started going, hey, maybe we should start looking at the indies instead of 6'7" roided up guys with tribal tattoos. That's what's allowing for this whole new era that they're calling it right now. All this effing talent that's out there that we drafted tonight, that they're going to draft for real in a couple of days. There are some amazing things that can be done. And, oh, by the way, one of the 2 guys from Sunday Night Submission back in 06 is the head writer. I just pinch myself sometimes.
Yeah, it's a small world like that sometimes. You think about it. But, man, 06 was some crazy, crazy times looking back on it. Some things never changed. Like, the whole, like, that was the era of the John Cena super push. Like, it never really stopped. But that was, like, everyone's like, oh, no, he's going to lose and he's going to turn heel and blah, blah, blah. And they just never, because that's the first time ever they really just didn't listen to the audience. They just said, screw you, we're going to do this anyways, whether you like it or not.
2006 seems so long ago because, I mean, that's a year
where... Funny thing is, to me, it seems like yesterday.
That's a year where, like, the crowd had turned on John Cena, but they were just pushing him because of the merch. I mean, 2006 seems so long ago in that regard, doesn't it?
It does seem so long ago in that regard. It's gotten to the point now where people actually think, you know what? It's like, I actually don't mind John Cena. Like, my favorite thing he did was the John Cena U.S. Open Challenge. Like, I would actually be totally okay with him being United States champion forever. Like, him losing it and winning it. Like him not even caring about the world title, that becoming, like, his belt.
They waited long enough that there's been, like, a hipster backlash. Like, people have been down on John Cena for so long. Now it's like the backlash against the backlash.
Oh, really?
Which always kind of happens. The other thing, too, tell me what you think about this. If he ended up on the show with the IC title, I'm a big fan of going to the gimmick of, like, Grand Slam or whatever. IC is the only belt he's never held.
Yeah.
I want to see, like, remember when they did that with the Big Show at WrestleMania a few years ago with Cody Rhodes? I'm a big fan of that. Check off the last box. Check off the last box. Because then you can put guys in feuds for quote-unquote mid-card titles that they wouldn't otherwise be in.
I'm always a fan of main event guys having mid-card titles.
Yes.
Which is, because to me it brings up it elevates the title.
It does.
In of itself. Like, for example, the aforementioned United States title. When Cena had it, it meant something.
Yes.
He built it up and it meant something, and then, like, all of a sudden, as soon as he lost it, it went to Del Rio, and it could have meant something, but they did nothing with it.
Right.
And it went absolutely nowhere fast.
And then people thought, well, at least they're going to use the U.S. title to elevate Kalisto.
Nope.
Oops.
Nope. And then it became, well, we got to put it on somebody.
Right.
You're going to be a placeholder champion for a while now.
Yeah.
Until somebody else comes along, and now they got it back on Rusev, and it's like right back where it started from. I wouldn't be half-tempted surprised if John Cena just came back and won it back again, but I think we've seen the end of the days of John Cena as a full-time performer, and as it should be. He really, I mean, what more can the guy do? Let him save him for those big money marquee. Pretty much the only reason to have John Cena around. I mean, there's multiple for kids and stuff,
right?
But the marquee match with him and The Undertaker is like pretty much the only thing that's left for both of them to do, really.
That'll be a big one when it happens. No question about it. That'll be something potentially for the next WrestleMania. Whether or not it could happen under this format with them being on different brands, again, I agree with you. They'll probably loosen it up for WrestleMania a little bit.
Yeah, and I mean, by then, plus also it'll be, they have been separated to the point where when they get back together, it'll add, like, dream match scenarios.
Well, here's the funny thing. Is that's already the case, because for most of the period of time from the first brand split, and then like when the brand split went away, that coincided with Undertaker already going part-time.
Yeah, they were never on the same brand ever.
Yes, it was always Raw and SmackDown.
Yeah.
Taker was always the SmackDown guy.
Taker was always on SmackDown.
Yeah.
He was. That's kind of the reason why I wanted back on SmackDown. Like, it's funny, if you went on the app, he still listed, because they still had on their app like who was on Raw and who was on SmackDown's roster.
That's
and it's
funny.
hilarious because all the new guys are all on Raw. SmackDown had like maybe 15 guys on it, but
Right.
the Undertaker is still listed as being a SmackDown wrestler.
Interesting.
to this day.
Interesting.
So he's like the most affiliated with that. And I guess I would have to have The Rock too, but The Rock will just come back to whatever fits
that's-
his. If Rock could get Monday off, then he'll come on Monday. If he gets
That's what I
Tuesday
was
off, he'll
thinking.
come on Tuesday.
I was thinking, am I going to put The Rock on here? Because, I mean, he did technically wrestle at the last WrestleMania.
Well, I guess he
whatever.
did.
Yeah. I mean, here's a funny thing,
Forgot
too.
about
is
that.
like, there's all these clearances for insurance purposes and stuff. So you know it's a thing where The Rock was telling the insurance people, Hollywood, are like, don't go by anything you see on this show. You know I'm not signed for a match. You know I'm not signed. So it's like, he was telling all the Hollywood people, don't sweat it. And the funny thing is that, like, Hollywood doesn't have problems with him going onto a show, taking a few bumps, whatever. He took one bump, giving one rock bottom in an actual match. He probably takes more bumps in segments that are not matches.
Oh, yeah.
It's
I
weird.
mean, yeah, he probably does that with, like, he probably takes more bumps doing, like, his stunt work.
Although,
Does The Rock do his own stunts?
I don't know. I don't think so.
It's like finding a stunt double jacked up like that guy is.
Let me ask you this. Last question I got for you along these lines. Steve Austin critiquing on his podcast, since we're talking about this, about The Rock kind of, breaking up the heat of the Wyatt family here at Mania, and did he really have to do that? Like, I don't want to criticize The Rock, but whatever. And what do you think when you hear something like that?
What, that Steve Austin will criticize The Rock for scooping up their heat? Or
A
what do you
little
mean?
bit. A little bit of like, hey, these are the guys that got to be here the next night, whatever.
They do. That's the problem. They do all, but he did the same thing. He
Yes,
has no room to talk.
yes,
he did the
thank
exact
you.
same thing
Yes.
2 hours prior.
That's what-
So, like, wait,
Exactly,
what?
thank you.
Unfortunately, that's part of the reason why there are no new stars.
Right.
Because every time, these guys come out there, every time you have anybody, they put over the added. Like, could you imagine how much heat someone would get, a heel would be? Just imagine if Kevin Owens just came out and beat the crap out of Stone Cold.
Right.
Hit him with a pop-up powerbomb and left him laying.
Right.
Or even just bashed him with a chair and stretchered him out.
Right.
It's like, oh my God, you beat up the most ruthless badass ever.
Right.
But unfortunately, the flip side to this is, I mean, it would do wonders for them. For whoever, someone came out and beat up The Rock,
Gee,
it would do wonders for that.
Do you think selfless Steve Austin would ever go for that?
Nope, not one bit. I mean, maybe if there was someone like that he was friends with that he liked. I mean, if
And he really respects Kevin Owens, and there's
Yeah.
no way he'd never do it for him.
because he's at the same time, because his argument back, and I could, as stupid as this is, be like, well, how am I going to get my heat back? It's like,
That's true.
Steve, you're not getting your heat back. You're retired. You've
Yeah.
been retired for almost 15 years now.
That's right.
You're not getting your heat back. Well, then hell, son. Well, then people are going to do cheer when I come back on TV. Like, they're
Right.
going to cheer for you again 'cause you're not going to be back on TV for another 8 months. He was someone else I also considered as like the possible for a GM position, but no, I don't think he has no interest in doing anything like that, and I wouldn't want to see that. Like, I entertain the idea. One of the names I threw out as a potential for my GM, just because it would amuse me, was Kevin Nash.
Right.
But I wanted to steer clear of that whole era, and then I went with Triple H just for. Actually, I went with Triple H because I wanted to have the extra talent on the wrestling side.
That
too.
works. That works. Yeah, I mean, you end up stealing an extra draft pick as well, so congratulations. You got an extra thing for WrestleMania matches and whatnot. I mean, that was a sharp, shrewd thing to do. One could envision a scenario where that could be the same with my guy, but I don't think so. The Tyson kid, I mean, he'd be better served at this point, I think, probably just settling into. I don't think they'll ever have the confidence to put him in the role I'm proposing, but if he could even be a trainer, he's got so much to give.
See, I just don't see him as having the charisma. And the funny thing is, like, on the
Think back
TV
to him and
every week.
Cesaro, though.
Yeah, but he didn't really talk though. Like, to be on that and the fact that the other issue too, and this is something they think of. He's so little. Like, he's going to look at guys. Is he going to be a heel?
What?
Is like a tweener? I mean, how's this
Tweener/heel.
Tweener's
Like a
okay.
Dario Cueto heel.
Okay, I mean,
you get them sitting behind a desk a lot.
I could see that.
I just ripped the whole thing off. Have them sitting behind a desk.
Just make him. We should have just drafted Dario Cueto. He would be if he was an option. I'd have taken him. I'd make Melissa Santos. I'd make SmackDown. It'd be Lucha SmackDown.
I'd have him start talking just randomly in a Spanish accent
for no reason. Have his brother show up under a mask.
Yeah,
that'd be fun.
Monster Matanza Kid.
Monster Matanza Kid. Brother of the 1-2-3 Kid.
Yes,
nephew of the
indeed.
Dynamite Kid.
Yes. Exactly. We could bring back Sean Waltman and play them like they're brothers. Oh, 1-2-3 Kid, Tyson Kid. But
they're the last. They're crazy. Their crazy uncle, the Heartbreak Kid.
Yes. There's a lot that we could do. But there it is, folks. That is your 2016 WWE mock draft. Should be more entertaining and, quite frankly, more logical than the real one we're going to get this week. So
yeah, I'm excited. I like a good draft. You do too, obviously.
Yes.
The whole FDH thing. I absolutely love a good draft. This is a fun idea, fun concept.
It was. Thank you so much
and
for the
it'll
idea.
It'll be interesting to see where we go from here. What reality brings in, because I got a feeling it's hilarious that we both wanted the same number one. We both have the same concept and idea of who we wanted for number one
and number two,
and who we were gonna build, who we were gonna build our division around. Like I went with my backup game plans because you took my number one, which I'm very happy with who I got.
Yeah, you did great.
And I think I caught you back on the women's side of things. I started
You
gobbling
did.
up all the women's wrestlers. And you're like, oh crap! Like I got to get somebody.
You know what, though? It's the FDH strategy. Don't get caught on the tail end of a run. So it was a thing where, like, I knew I didn't want Becky once. I mean, like, obviously you want somebody as great as Becky in there, but, I mean, Bayley has to be a centerpiece if you take her. You can't take Bayley, I don't think, and Sasha. It's hard to take Bayley and Becky because they're the same kind of babyface. So Charlotte's the one. I mean, I regret letting you get Sasha in front of me. And I regret letting you get Charlotte, but the rest of them, it was kind of a fait accompli at that point. I tried to bounce back as best I could. So
true. Well,
it
was fun.
It was fun. It was fun. Thank you so much for the idea and for doing this, my friend. The great Jake Digman, FDH Lounge Dignitary, and as we have pointed out recently, FDH MMA editor as well. So there is that.
Shabang! I'm going to UFC 200, 203.
Yes,
203.
you are. Yes,
200
you
already
are.
happened.
I'm sure you're going to have a great time at that. I look forward to hearing about it from you. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in to this outstanding edition of the FDH Lounge, the 2016 WWE Mock Draft, baby.
As we bring the show to a close, we would like to extend our deepest gratitude to NBC, CBS, ABC, Fox, all Clear Channel affiliates, TNT, TBS, USA, UPN, Deadspin.com, YouTube.com, YTMND.com, MySpace.com, various blogs, Fox News, CNN, CNBC, MSNBC, IamBoard.com, Billboard.com, Google.com, ESPN, ESPN2, ESPN News, ESPN Classic, NBA TV, NFL Network, Sports Time Ohio, Athlon Magazine, Comedy Central, Cartoon Network, The Boomerang Channel, QVC, BET, The Spice Channel, Steno Notebooks, Manwich, Papermate Office Supplies, Waitresses, Strippers, Bartenders, Garbage Men, Janitors, Microwave Popcorn, the writers of The Office, Scrubs, Entourage, My Name is Earl, Oz, Metalocalypse and the Boondocks, Aquafina, and The Periodic Table of Elements.